This is
they made so many major blunders with this one that are so technically provable. Anyone can go over those seismograms just of average intelligence, study them for a while, and figure out the earthquake wasn't real. Anyone can look at the picture of reactor 3 and see that it really is gone. Why weren't we told?
Mm-hmm.
Most people, or many people out there, know that you can't just blow up a nuclear plant by getting it wet. One thing that people don't realize about Fukushima and nuclear power in general is your backup systems, the real emergency backup systems at a nuclear facility don't need any electricity at all to function. And that's why Fukushima was impossible. The swamping of the external generators by the tsunami was irrelevant because the real emergency backup systems are driven by steam from the reactors themselves. So in other words, when your power goes offline and your steam that's normally coming out of that reactor to turn your turbine, when you don't need that power and you can't turn that generator anymore because the reactor's putting out too much, putting out too much, you'd be putting through an idle generator without overspinning it. You enter in emergency backup mode, and that steam is used to spin cooling pumps that cool the reactor off. So losing your diesel generators to spin electrical cooling pumps is irrelevant if you're supposed to have backup steam turbine pumps that do the exact same job.
Actually, that's brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. You're sure going to have plenty of steam.
There's no way Fukushima could have... when Fukushima blew up, when Fukushima got hit by the tsunami, and everybody, I heard on the news that a nuclear plant got hit by a tsunami, my thought was why does that matter? Because I understood reactor systems good enough so that I knew that couldn't cause any problem at all. The only thing you're going to do when you kick off all electricity to that nuclear power plant, what is supposed to happen is the steam from that reactor is supposed to start powering pumps rather than turn a generator. Well, the problem is that at reactors 1, 2, and 3, all fueled reactors, those systems activated immediately, just like they should when the generator went off, when the generator is cut off. The trouble is that within 11 minutes at reactor 1, that system shut itself off, and the only way that it can shut itself off is if it gets a powered command from the controller to shut itself off. Well, then here we get into Stuxnet. This Magna BSP company came out of Dimona, Israel, where Stuxnet was written. And there's
number 20.
a link.
Stuxnet is documented as number 20.
Yes, Stuxnet is documented to have been written by the Israeli Defense Forces. Those 3 links are critical because everybody has been saying, well, we don't know where Stuxnet came from. Well, the Israelis have bragged about and celebrated, and videos on YouTube and everything about writing Stuxnet and destroying Iran's nuclear program with it. Well, months later, after Japan offers to enrich uranium for Iran, out of the exact same, within a mile of where Stuxnet was written, here comes a security company and gets access to the heart of Fukushima. Well, Japan obviously is an enemy now, and they need to be taken out every bit as bad as Iran. This security company, because I didn't get an admission from them directly, you'll never get an admission that they actually stuck a flash drive in one of those PLCs to infect Fukushima with this virus. But I did get the proof in an article written in the Jerusalem Post that they had a full-time unauthorized data connection to the heart, to the SCADA system in that facility via a connection that they had made to one of their cameras, one of their nuke cameras in that facility. So here we have the security company having a totally unauthorized data connection into the heart of Fukushima, into the reactor rooms, and all those SCADA systems are interlinked. And it could have probably jumped out of Fukushima and gone over to some of the other reactors that acted up after the tsunami too, which is impossible. But they had other reactors have problems, and it's virtually impossible. Well, these emergency systems activated at Fukushima. That's the bottom line. At all 3 reactors, they activated. At reactor 1, they cut off after 11 minutes. and reactor 1 promptly went into meltdown, because if you cut off those emergency systems within 3 hours of shutting a reactor down, the reactor will, even though it's been scrammed and it's not doing anything to perpetuate a chain reaction, just the breakdown of some of the highly radioactive isotopes will keep that reactor hot and keep it generating heat. So you need those cooling pumps running to prevent a meltdown, even though the reactor is shut off. At reactor 1, that system was told to shut off outside the control of the operators, and the operators couldn't get it to turn back on 11 minutes after the generators cut off. With reactor 2, those systems shut down 3 hours after the electricity was lost. And at reactor 3, those systems shut down on day 2. This emergency backup system at Fukushima actually needs a powered command to keep it from activating. And the fact that it did activate means that in that facility, something still had power and fed those valves the signal they needed to shut off. Here we have power dead of this facility. Batteries die in 8 hours, and there's so many things. They actually brought in generators from off-site before the backup batteries to turn the cooling pumps died. They have backup batteries there. They actually brought in off-site power, and they had sufficient power available there within 8 hours of that. The roads were in perfect shape because there was no earthquake. They managed to drive these huge generators in, and when they tried to hook them up, the switchgear would not let them turn on the power to the facility. Well, all these systems are linked in to the SCADA system that can be infected by Stuxnet. So here's a system telling them that they can't activate this power that they brought in. You can't get the switches to work. The only way that can happen is the controller telling it not to activate. So we have the regular, the standard steam-powered backups not working. We have the electrical backups not working, and the generators, one of those generators actually kept running, and one was enough to keep that facility safe. It kept running even despite the other ones cutting off, which never got flooded. Here we have a facility where power has been brought in, they can't hook it up. They got a generator working, the switchgear is telling it you can't use it. They've got emergency backup systems that are functioning, and they shut off all by themselves. Well, numerous reference sources prove that Stuxnet really was written by Israel. And Japan really did offer to enrich uranium for Iran, and Israel has been documented to have already destroyed one nuclear program in Iran, and probably did. And Japan contributing to Iran's nuclear future would have made them just as much an enemy to Israel as Iran. Israel would want them taken out. It is documented that a team from Israel with history only consisting of working in Israeli defense got unlimited access to a Japanese nuclear facility, which then exploded. Reactor 4 had been defueled and proven disassembled, and therefore no explosion there was possible. What should have happened at Reactor 4, if anything at all? The fuel pool should have melted down and caught fire once the water boiled off from a lack of recirculation at worst, and badly contaminated the containment structure. Nothing else. The inside containment walls are like over 8 feet thick, probably 12 feet thick, but they blew so badly that Reactor 4 is in danger of falling over, and I'd like to know how that happened. The Japanese government is going along with the story of a scientifically proven false 9.0 earthquake. You can see the pictures, you can see the seismograms, nothing happened there other than a tsunami. There is a reason why they're going along with this story, and my guess is that Israel has made threats to wipe out Japan's coastal cities with additional tsunamis. If the government of Japan speaks a word of what went on, there should be no reason for Japan to go along with this crazy story other than a continued threat. Now, here we get the kicker. The Department of Homeland Security canceled a meeting about Stuxnet at TakedownCon. TakedownCon is a conference where it's an industrial conference where industrial facility operators get to know or learn about how to secure their facilities. The Department of Homeland Security has advised the cancellation of all discussion of Stuxnet. And my belief, for the reason for that, is because they want to keep the threat alive. They want this thing out there, so our reactors are vulnerable to it, so they can get their disasters here. And I guess, we're getting kind of close to the end of the program, so I'm just going to let people go at that. Consider that. We need such a massive awareness on this subject just to prevent a disaster in this country, because they're not picking favorites. They want dominance, they want control, and it doesn't matter who they hurt or what they do to get it. America is a little bit too much of a rebel for them. They're pretty upset with this country. It didn't just fall over like Europe did. We are the last stand, and I really believe they have a plan for us that isn't pretty at all. And so basically that's my word. That's what I have to say.
Now you say they.
The elite. It's, I want to not allude to Zionists and what that means. I want to keep away from that as much as possible, even though that is what we're talking about. And it doesn't matter if they're Orthodox or Reform or Conservative or anything else. They're or Sephardic. They're all on the same sheet of paper. I've sat in their meetings and heard them brag about having control of the government and the medical system, the educational system, and the media and the communications and everything else. They have us in the bag. They've got it. They know it. And what can I say?
I like using the term because for me, it's not about an ethnicity, or it's a state government. All governments are evil.
Yeah, well, what we've got here is a group that wants world dominance at any cost.
Right. And this
and it is political, because when face to face they're really nice, and among their own group they're decent people like anyone else. But every group tends to have its tendency towards dominating everything, and they've had a lot of success.
Yeah, we're at the end. Yeah, we're at the end. Yeah, we're at the end. 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 The end. You gave me a list of things to do, so I started to call people and let them know that I wasn't planning suicide. I don't have cancer, and whatnot, because this should be known prior to anything happening. So I'm hoping it doesn't come to that.